I guarantee that you can catch more bluegills by applying the aggressive technique that I use. Now, that aggressive technique is using some common sense knowledge, like always go where you know there are congregations of fish. How do you know there are congregations of fish? I know that by watching the crowds. Pay attention to any body of water during the winter. You know where the crowds congregate, and they congregate there because that's where those bluegills and panfish winter up every year. So when I arrive at those spots in the morning, first thing I do is drill 15, 20 holes, depending on how much energy I have, and then I literally hop around from one hole to the next, my Vexilar, checking to see if there's a fish down there. I also use pre-existing holes. I'm not afraid to use holes that other people have used. Once I drop my transducer down there, I'm getting a quick reading to see if there's a fish down there. If there is, I'm going to drop my bait down there. My theme is simple. Move, move, and move. I don't stop moving until I find the fish. Here I found a fish on my graph, so I'm going to drop my bait straight down to it, really drop it below it, and then lift my bait up very, very slowly, a very tiny undulating action, literally coming up by millimeters, tempting that bluegill, lured in, if you will, to bite my bait as it lifts above its head. I believe you can pattern the movement of bluegills under the ice. There may be a huge mega school of bluegills or other panfish on any given flat, but they are constantly on the move. This is why one particular hole gets hot for a while and then cools off. They move from one weed bed to the next, and I pay real close attention to which holes produce. I am about to catch a fish here, and I would not have caught it if I had remained in that previous hole. Came over here, dropped my Vexilar, saw a fish, dropped my bait down there, and there's the result of constant movement.
Following me up.
This is exactly what I try to do, and I do throughout the day. I move from one hole to the next. I found a fish right here in my unit. I drop my bait down as fast as I can. Technique is to raise it real slow. Eventually, I saw that little tick on my spring bobber, and voila.
And he's not paying attention. There he is.
My technique is to lure the bluegill into biting, and something to remember is that bluegills do not have the physical ability to look underneath them. So I bring a bait under them, but bring it up to eye level, and then lure and continue to rise it above them. And as I watch my graph, you'll see them move up towards my bait, towards your bait, before they finally commit to it and bite it.
I get to the point where I don't even want this size.
I use itty-bitty tiny jig heads. I prefer tungsten, like a 1/32 ounce or so, but I always match it up with a live spike, little nasty maggot looking bait. But bluegill, perch, and crappie, sunfish, red ear, love these things. I notice a lot of people watching me as I'm ice fishing because I'm constantly on the move, and some jealousy gets out there on the ice sometimes too, because as they're sitting still waiting for the fish to come to them, I'm hopping from one hole to the next. And I pull one fish out of this hole and two fish out of the next hole, or 5 holes in a row without a fish. But they notice that I'm moving around and I'm figuring out a pattern. I know a lot of people don't like to move very much and think that I'm running around too much in the ice, but the reality is, fish move. They move all the way along. Now, they may not move long distances. They may move 20 feet to one weed bed or 10 feet to the next weed bed, but I believe a lot of these fish go in circles. They school up by size, and they move in circles, and it might not be a perfect circle, an oval, such, and so forth, and when they leave my little weed bed or whatever I've got found on that hole, I believe they move on to the next about 10, 15 feet away, and after a while, when I start paying attention to which holes produce and which ones don't, I believe I can begin to predict where they're going to go next and move with them. I always put a spring bobber on my rods before I go out because the sensitive bites or the light bites that bluegills can give you are incredibly light, and any advantage you can get to detecting their bites is critically important. One challenge you're seeing me here is that my bobber is literally a spring, and it's about 12 degrees on this day, which means all the water coming out of that hole up through my spring bobber is freezing up. So that's one challenge that I have to overcome using that spring bobber. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it to be helpful. Please subscribe to my channel, Andrew Buzz Fishing. I got all sorts of videos up there already on my channel and many more to come. Real quick review, Hey, I catch fish by moving, and moving. I believe the fish are moving, and I move with them. I try to pattern their movements.
Like the bigger ones are...
Fish move, and so should you.
There are plenty of these guys.
Nothing makes me happier than getting my kids involved. Please comment below, like my video. Lovers or haters of it, I love to see your comments. Look at my boy get excited.